Hello and welcome to Cloud Solutions Tech. In this video, we are going to be using a GitHub repository. So we will need to install a plugin for Git. So if you don't have the plugin for Git, let's go back again to Manage Jenkins. Click on Plugins. So let's check available plugin. So if you have used the suggested plugin at the point of installing Jenkins, it's possible you should have Git already, but if you don't have it, then you have to install Git. So let's check in my case, right? So I have the Git plugin right here, but in your own case, if you don't have the Git plugin, how do you install Git plugin? Just go to available plugins and then just type Git here. So once you see the Git plugin right here, you click on it and then install. But in my own case, I already have the Git plugin, so I don't have to install it. So I have the Git plugin right here. So the next thing for us to do now is to learn how to clone GitHub repository using Jenkins. So we are going to be working with Maven repository. So let's go to Google. So this one is available on Google before we use the one that we're going to be using for the project. So if you go on Google and just type sample Maven app, sample Maven app. So you see this one right here. So we'll click on it. So we are going to use this for our example for this Maven project that we want to do. So in here, you are going to find out all the Maven stuff. This is a GitHub repository, so this is the GitHub one. So what we have to do now, we are going to clone this repository using Jenkins. So the first thing that we need to do now is to go and create a job in Jenkins. So we'll come to Jenkins, let's go to the dashboard, let's create a new job. We'll call it Maven job. And this is also going to be a freestyle project. Let's click OK. All right. So here now, we are going to be using SCM, source code management. So we are going to be using Git. So source code management, what does this mean, right? So we are just trying to say, oh, where is our code located? And the Git plugin works for GitLab, it works for GitHub. So in this case, our code is in GitHub. So the next thing that we are going to do now, we are going to copy the repository URL from the GitHub that we just opened earlier on, which is right here. So we'll come here, you click on code, click on this one, HTTPS, copy, come back to your Jenkins and paste. It's as simple as that. Another thing that you need to take note of, the branch right here. You need to take note of the branch. If you look at right here, the default branch right there is master branch. You have to look at the branch right there is also master. So in some cases, the branch here might be main or whatever branch that you are using. Make sure you are using the correct branch. So we have to take note of the branch right here. That is very important to take note of. And this is all we need to do. But if you click on advanced, and in this case, we don't need credentials. You see right there that says add, and if you click on this drop down, there's nothing. We don't need credential. Why? Because this is a public repository, right? But in the future, right, we are going to be building our own, server and all that. So we are going to be learning how to use authentication. But at the moment now, this is a public repository. So we don't need credentials for this. All right. So that's pretty cool. So I believe that's it for now. So let me click on save. So now we can go ahead and click on build now. So if we click on build now, what is going to happen, right? So what is going to happen is that the Git plugin that we installed earlier on is going to go to the repository and then it's going to clone that repository for us. So let's try and do that. Let's click on build now. And as you can see, our build is completed. So let's open it. This is our console output. All right. So in our console output right there, as you can see right here, is actually saying success, right? So he was able to pull that GitHub repository, was able to clone it and then run it for us. So I know you might have a question now. You might be thinking, okay, you actually clone the repository, but where is the code located? What is going on? You understand? So let me introduce you to a new concept called the workspace, which is right here. So what is workspace in Jenkins, right? So a workspace is a directory in Jenkins server, right, where all the files related to a specific job are stored during execution of that job. So when Jenkins runs a job, it creates a workspace for that particular job where it clones the source code repository, it executes the build scripts, run the test, and also generate the artifact as well. So for example, Jenkins is cloning this repository right here, this simple Java Maven application. So that is what Jenkins is cloning. So it is cloning it to our workspace, and every single job has their own workspace, and all these things are happening in our workspace. So let's go to our terminal. Let me quickly show you something. So on the terminal now, let's go into the container. So do docker exec -ti Jenkins bash. All right. So now we are inside of our container. All right. So let's go inside of the workspace to go and see what is going on. All right. So let's go into the workspace. So I'll say cd var Jenkins and then the workspace. So now we are inside of that workspace. All right. So we do ls. So now we can see the list of the jobs that we have here, and we can do this. Or let me say ls-l. So it's listening for us with the permission of those directories. So you can see right here we have 3 jobs: bash jobs, Maven jobs, my first job. We come right here to the Jenkins dashboard. You can see these 3 jobs right here. If you look at it, you can see these 3 jobs right here. So we are inside our workspace. So all these jobs, they are located inside the workspace. So this is the workspace for all the jobs that we have executed. So in this case, we want the one for the Maven job, which is the one that we are working on at the moment, which is the one that we are executing right now. So let's go into the Maven job. All right, so let's sit into that. Now we are inside of this Maven job, and we do ls-l. So now we have all the files and directories that we have inside of that Maven job, right? And the same thing, we will go to that repository. So you will see these are all the files that were cloned with Git. That's all the files right there. So you can see right there that we have exactly the same structure. We have the .xml, we have this we have the readme right here, we have the Jenkins, we have the source, right? So this is exactly the same repository. And then if I do this, so for us to be able to see the hidden files as well, so if I do ls-la, so now you can see everything right here, because these ones, they were not showing up. Anything you see dot in front of either directory of the file, we'll call them hidden file. So now you can see everything that we have on our Jenkins right here, the Jenkins repository on GitHub. We have everything right here locally. Now we are able to clone that repository. So now we can see that everything is being cloned into the workspace of the job. So remember that everything that happened in the job is happening in our workspace. Having said that, Let's go back to our Jenkins. Let's go back to our job. So now we know how to clone a GitHub repository, and the Git repository that you clone is going to be cloned in the workspace. And then from here now we can modify our files, we can access the files and do whatever we want to do to it. So you have just learned how to clone a GitHub repository from Jenkins, and then also how to view the workspace. See you in the next lesson.